right, good. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session for November 14th, 2023. As a reminder, oh man, we were trying to get rolling before any other DCAs showed up. As a reminder, this is a public meeting. It's being recorded, so please ensure that your line is muted if you're calling in by phone. And for those of you in the audience as well, please make sure that your phone is muted. We will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So before we get to our regular agenda this morning, we have several ceremonial guests with us. First of all, this is Transgender Awareness Week, which is celebrated annually from November 13th through the 19th. And we have Dr. Leo Taylor from the Ohio State University Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here with us to talk to us a little bit about the recognition and the importance of uplifting the voices and experience of members of the transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming community. This week also leads up to the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance on November 20th for those who have lost their lives due to the transphobic violence and systematic oppression, especially Black and Latinx trans women. And at Franklin County, we are committed to not only celebrating our transgender, gender non-conforming and non-binary residents, but also to making sure that our policies are equitable and that our community is safe for them. Dr. Taylor, welcome, and thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my honor to be here today to provide a voice for a community that is experiencing an unprecedented attack on their basic human rights. We know that transgender people have existed for as long as humans have been in recording history. There is a deep and rich history of the cultural significance of trans people in various societies, especially indigenous communities. Yet today we find ourselves living in a country that is so toxically fearful of people who challenge the dominant narrative about gender that 41% of trans people attempt suicide at some point in their lives. Compare that to 1% of the general population. Does this mean that something is inherently wrong with transgender people? I would argue that depression and anxiety is a normal response to living in a society that is actively trying to destroy you. Politicians are literally saying they want to wipe trans people from the face of the planet. Stress and dysfunction are logical responses to a death threat. This year, for the first time in the organization's 43-year history, the Human Rights Campaign declared a state of emergency for LGBTQ+ Americans because of the 586 bills that have been introduced across 49 states in 2023 alone, 85 of which have passed. These bills seek to deny trans people basic health care, education, legal recognition, and the right to publicly exist. As a result, we are seeing a surge in suicidality among trans youth. It might seem then that the anti-trans politicians are winning, but I don't see it that way. Although 85 hate and fear-based bills have passed, 125 have failed. Although we're seeing a surge in mental health crises, we're also seeing communities and families come together like never before to rally behind and support their trans loved ones. Aspiring allies are stepping up in droves and asking, what can I do to help? I believe that oppression can strengthen communities and foster resilience. Sadly, many trans people don't survive this world. That's why every year on November 20th, as you mentioned, we honor the thousands of trans people lost to anti-trans violence, mostly trans women of color. We stop to remember every year so that we don't forget. We reflect on the role that each of us can play in transforming environments in which people are punished just because of their difference. As you know, November is Transgender Awareness Month. It's also a special month for me personally. Not only is it my birthday month on November 9th, it's also the month in which I began my own gender transition. In fact, this year I celebrated a very special milestone. On this very date, November 14th, 1999, 24 years ago at the age of 24, I began my transition from female to man. This unusual midpoint seemed impossible to me when I was a child, living in Muncie, Indiana, trying desperately to follow the rules imposed upon me by my parents. See, I was raised as a Pentecostal girl, forced to wear dresses or skirts every day, not permitted to cut my hair or engage in self-expression that defied strict gender norms set by the church. But I knew by the age of 8 that I wasn't a girl despite what everyone told me. When my breasts started to grow, I beat them with my fists and other objects, hoping I would cause cancer so that they would have to be removed. My child brain could not make sense of what was happening. It just felt wrong. I identify as a transsexual, not transgender, because I've never been unsure about my gender. I always felt like a boy. It was my body that betrayed me because it dictated what I was allowed to do and who I could be. My pain was exacerbated by a religion that convinced me that my feelings were not just wrong, they were evil. After my church community found out about my identity, the entire congregation of 50 people laid their hands on me and attempted to exorcise the demon of homosexuality. I was 16. I'd been in the church my entire life, and I didn't even know Pentecostals did exorcisms. That was quite a surprise. I mean, Pentecostals are dramatic, and that was one of the things I liked about that. But I thought that exorcisms were reserved for the Catholic Church. I was explicitly told that I had intentionally invited the devil into my life, and that was why I felt different. I was desperate to be relieved of my burden because I believed what they told me. Why wouldn't I? I was raised, like most people, to believe that what my parents and authority figures told me was the unbiased truth, and anything else was a lie from Satan. Excuse me. Soon, it became clear that the exorcism had no effect. So I gave up. And at the age of 16, still a child, I attempted suicide and became a part of that 41% statistic. But I was lucky. Despite my father's protests that all I needed was prayer, I was made a ward of the court and got the psychiatric help that saved my life and put me on a path towards self-love and radical self-acceptance. That court saved my life. I'll forever be grateful to the sane adults who made that decision. After 24 very challenging but fulfilling years, I now find myself in a place of power and service. Over the past 5 years, I have pivoted away from my entomological background and into the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion, specializing in allyship development and empowerment coaching. I have successfully unlearned self-loathing, and shame is no longer welcome in my life. That is what I want for everyone, which is why my work centers on empathy, compassion, joy, and helping people find their own source of power so that they too can live a rich, authentic life free of shame and fear. I believe we all deserve that. I believe every person in this room deserves not only to be accepted, but to be celebrated. It took me more than 45 years to get to a place where I loved myself enough to even celebrate my birthday. Why? Because I live in a world that perpetuates myths and stereotypes that hold no basis in reality, but still cause trans people like me to self-loathe. Myths and stereotypes that are the basis of harmful legislation. Absurd beliefs that can only be challenged by uplifting and centering the voices of those being targeted, which is what Transgender Awareness Week is all about. That's why this work matters. Debunking myths saves lives. Learning about people who are different from you is how you cultivate empathy. And empathy is necessary to foster connection. And connection strengthens our communities. Anniversaries like these remind us of our values, and they remind us that we still have something worth fighting for. Transgender Awareness Week reminds me personally that although we've come far enough for me and many others to succeed and in some cases truly thrive, we still have much work yet to do. It provides an opportunity for self-reflection, for us to ask ourselves, what am I doing to make my community a safer place for people who are not allowed to be themselves? The corollary to this question is equally as important, and one I constantly ask myself. What beliefs and biases do I still hold that perpetuate inequity? I, too, still have much work to do to unlearn the damaging lessons of my socialization. Intentional reflection through the lens of cultural humility is an essential part of social justice. It inspires and empowers us to keep working toward a better world because difference is not a crime and should not be illegal. Remembering is an opportunity for us to honor and celebrate the millions of people, just like me, who deserve the same dignity and right to exist as anyone else. If you look closely enough, you'll see that anti-trans bias is rooted in the assumption that there is a correct way to do gender. This binary right versus wrong way of thinking harms trans and non-trans people alike. Strict rules about gender affect any person who doesn't follow them. People who defy gender norms, especially men, are punished, sometimes quite severely. You do not need to be transgender to be harmed by gender norms. Just ask any man who's ever been called effeminate, or women who've been called tomboys. The good news is that what we call gender is dynamic and actually quite fun, constantly evolving. Just think about how gender was experienced here 100 years ago. While sex is biological, gender, although closely related, has many social aspects that change over time. This means that each of us can play a role in creating environments that are safer and more welcoming of gender diversity. Each of you can play a role at work, home, and in the community to generate awareness and greater acceptance of difference in all forms. Because difference itself is not inherently bad. It is our response to difference that reveals our values, biases, and opportunities for growth. I'm excited to be partnering with the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in 2024 to provide a year-long series of educational and dialogic opportunities to strengthen our community so that anyone, regardless of their gender, race, ethnicity, or sex, or any other social identity, can live a life that they feel is worth celebrating. That's my hope, not just for myself and all trans people, but for each and every one of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, President O'Grady, and Dr. Taylor. Thank you so much. What's your is it PhD or medical doctor?
PhD.
And what's your PhD in?
Entomology.
Oh,
Which is
interesting.
bugs,
Okay.
not words.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, first of all, let me just begin by saying that thank you on behalf of Central Ohio for your courage, for your advocacy, and for sharing with us and educating us about the importance of, I like the phrases you use, intentional reflection. Being different is not a crime. And then finally, honoring all people. And then I like the question that you ask, and that's what are you doing, broader public? What are you doing to make our community safer? I will tell you that since I've been a county commissioner, these are the values and principles of this Franklin County. I was born and raised here in Central Ohio. And I can assure you that, and I don't want to speak on behalf of my colleague, but I'm pretty confident that I can in this case. And before Commissioner Crawley, Commissioner Brown, Marilyn Brown, should be acknowledged in saying that, we set off on a mission a few years ago to reset the value set for Franklin County as an institution. And what I can assure you in that conversation of how seriously we took it and how much we invested in that was that when we said every resident, every day, we meant just that. That this is a county that embraces everyone. Doesn't matter what part of the city you live in, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter. There's nothing that matters other than the fact that you live in Central Ohio. And if you live in Central Ohio, you're a part of Franklin County as far as we're concerned. And everything that we do matches and aligns with the things that you said. Even still, we've got to do better. Central Ohio, this isn't the Central Ohio that we grew up in. Those of us who grew up in the 70s here, this isn't the same Central Ohio. I really believe that 20 years from now, this won't be the same Central Ohio that we see today. And so that being said, I challenge you. I challenge you to keep pushing us. I challenge you to keep advocating, not just for the folks that you believe you represent, because the truth is, you represent all of us. You represent all of us. And so I challenge you to keep standing at that podium, to keep being a part of those community demonstrations, to keep being public about the fight and the need for everybody to stand up and say something. And I believe if you do that, 20 years from now, you will have contributed to moving the needle on a better and greater Franklin County and Central Ohio. And so we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much for your advocacy. Appreciate
Thank you very much.
Here, here. Thank you for being here today. Commissioner, with the words on the wall in the back aren't there. We didn't put them there just to, if you can't see them because of the pillar, I apologize. But
Yeah.
our motto is every resident, every day, as Commissioner Boyce brought up. And we didn't create the motto just to, be able to put some words on the wall in the back of the room. We believe in that. This hits home for me for a couple of reasons. One, I've kind of taken some grief over this particular issue, these issues.
I'm sure you have.
In my own personal life over the years. Neither here nor there. I also have a member of my family that identifies as non-binary, and so it's a personal issue for me, for my family. And I think of Tom whenever I think of these issues. And I appreciate what you've been through and what your struggle has been over the years, because I understand what families deal with. And I appreciate the fact that Tom has been through nothing like what you had to go through and what a lot of families have to go through, because he's had nothing but love and support. And, even from an uncle who struggles, while I love and accept Tom, and I still say he just because I'm a 59-year-old guy who, can't figure out how to deal with that. I've just, anyway, it is it's been great to have you here this morning to continue to educate folks who believe that we're educated. Because it's always a great learning experience, not only for us, but for everybody in our small audience. And it will always continue to be, and we appreciate you being here. As Commissioner Boyce says, we look forward to continuing to partner with you.
Never underestimate the power of that support. We see a 56% reduction in suicide attempts when a youth can use a preferred name. Why is that so powerful? Because names are associated with gender much of the time, right? It's a proxy for gender. 56% reduction in suicide attempts in young people, just being able to use a name that feels affirming. And to have even one family member, no matter what their relation is, be able to say, I love and support you no matter who you are, is a gift that is priceless. I can't even put a price on it. I would have given anything for that. And give yourself massive amounts of grace, because we are so programmed to believe that there is a right and wrong way to do gender from the moment that we're born, that we have to go through decades of unlearning. That's not going to happen overnight. And people like me, people who are non-binary, trans people know that. And if we see that your heart is in the right place, it's coming from a place of love, we're going to extend all of that grace and love to you.
President O'Grady, I just want to add one more comment too. You made me really think of this as you were talking, and I really appreciate your comments. What I think you're seeing is growth. To be able to have this conversation that we're having in a public setting, and folks to share their own personal journey, whether it's you or a family member, it in many ways is all the same. And I just really appreciate working in an environment where, and living, quite frankly, in an environment where we can have these conversations publicly, and we can deal with how it makes us feel. We can exchange perspectives. but most importantly, learn and grow from the experiences. And so I want to just acknowledge Commissioner O'Grady because I know anytime you talk about family and personal experiences, people think politicians were all just like machines or political figures, but we're people too. And the same experiences that you all bring to us, the challenges that you have, they exist in our family. They exist in our household. They exist in our worlds too. And there's not a week that goes by that I'm not getting a constituent call and trying to help someone. And I've got family members needing the same type of services and resources. And so the reality is I really appreciate Commissioner O'Grady sharing that because, working in an environment and living in an environment where we can all have the conversation is a huge step. It is a huge step. It wasn't too long ago, we wouldn't even call out racism. Wasn't too long ago that the first African-American commissioner in the history of Franklin County was elected. That is growth. And so this conversation is very much heartening for me. And I just want to say to Commissioner O'Grady, always you're my brother in politics. And, this is a journey, an experience, and a learning process for all of us. And it should be, I hope we do that as a family. And I don't mean that just the people who work at Franklin County, but if you live in this community too, we're all Franklin County, we're all one. And believe it or not, we have our experiences too. We're right with you to try to figure it out. There is no easy answer. There is no magic wand. There is no button that we can push and all the problems are solved and we're ready to go. It is a daily grind, a daily journal, and we're rewriting history every single day. And so back to Dr. Taylor's point, which is, I leave you with this. What are you doing to make a difference in our community? Change it up a little bit. What are you doing to make the difference in Central Ohio? So thank you so much for what you represent. Appreciate you.
Please.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor, who shares my birthday, and I grew up Pentecostal as well. Just really quick, we have a Health and Human Services team, and we've been on this journey of how do we make sure that we represent and when we're interacting, we're using the correct terminology. It's almost like we can't build a relationship. Sometimes people feel like they can't build a relationship because it stops at the terminology that you use. We would like to figure out how can we have these honest dialogues and understand terminology and just basic things I think that we just take for granted, and because we want to make sure that we're building. To us, the relationship is more important and understanding, so we can educate others.
Yeah, well, I'm all about relationships, connections, and I think empathy is where we will find the most power, right? And that's with sharing stories. That's why I get up here and I talk about my personal experience and talk about things that you might not expect, all right, at a hearing like this, because you've got to have that human element. White dominant culture teaches us we can't bring our personal life to work, but how many of us are able to do that? That's impossible. The personal is with us everywhere. Our trauma sits on our shoulder like a little demon speaking into our ear, right? A little lens that we see the world through. Everything is personal. All of this work is personal. And making that connection with an individual, whether they're non-binary or transsexual or transgender, is actually quite easy. And those folks are desperate for connection, typically, because we've been largely shunned, right? So when somebody says, hey, I care enough about you that I want to use the right words, what words do you use to refer to your body parts? And you know what a trans person will do? They'll list off the words right away. And they'll be grateful that you actually asked, rather than making assumptions. And that's all you have to do, is ask us.
Dr. Taylor, can we get a photo with you?
Oh, please. Over here?
Are one of these resolutions for you?
I don't think that from that distance. Thank you. All right, right, thank you, Dr. Taylor. Now we have Sonia Thiesing, or is it Thiesing? Sonia Thiesing, the Executive Director of the Huckleberry House, to speak about National Runaway Prevention Month. Welcome, Dr. Thiesing.
You can lower that podium. There's a button up there. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
He's got to hold it.
Oh, I need one of these. Just take it with me everywhere. Good morning. My name is Sonia Thiesing, and I'm the Executive Director of Huckleberry House, a Central Ohio nonprofit organization with the mission, "With Hope, we shelter, support, and guide youth navigating challenges." During November, we joined other youth-serving organizations across the country for National Runaway Prevention Month. For decades, green has been the color we use to raise awareness of runaway and homeless youth. At Huck House, our teen shelter is lit up green this month, and tomorrow we will celebrate Wear Green Day. I'm getting an early start, and I love your dress for this month. Thank you very much to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners for inviting me to be here today to speak about National Runaway Prevention Month, and for their efforts to shine a light on the experiences of runaway and homeless youth in our community. 4.2 million young people between the ages of 13 and 25 experience a form of homelessness each year in the United States. In Ohio, more than 30,000 unaccompanied youth under the age of 25 experienced homelessness in 2022, with 9% of these young people, or 2,700 of them, being under the age of 18. And in February of this year, it was reported that the number of homeless students in Franklin County jumped by nearly 20% from 2021 to 2022, translating to 2,694 homeless students right here in our community. 1 in 7 children between the ages of 10 and 18 will run away at some point. There are many reasons youth leave home. They may be living in an unsafe environment or experiencing poverty. At greater risk are young people of color, young people who identify LGBTQIA+, young people aging out of foster care, or who are pregnant and parenting. When a young person reaches that breaking point where the street is better than their home environment, it's a race against the clock. Just one night on the street is an indicator of future homelessness, even once housing is secured. Huckleberry House was founded in 1970 as a safe shelter for runaway youth on the Ohio State University campus. Today, we continue that work in our teen crisis shelter located in Wineland Park. This past year, we provided 2,384 nights of safe shelter to more than 350 teenagers. That means we prevented 350 young people from spending a night in an unsafe place where they would have been vulnerable to unthinkable outcomes, including being trafficked. Many organizations, like Huckleberry House, help young people once they become homeless. But if young people have a safe place to go when they leave home at that first moment of crisis, we can reduce the chance that they will become homeless in the future, preventing homelessness before it happens. The work we do is life-changing, and we cannot do it alone. We are deeply thankful for the support of our community, and especially for the support of Franklin County. Thank you.
Commissioner President O'Grady, I'll just say that as a young person growing up in probably the 80s around this time, I knew so many friends that ended up at the Huckleberry House. So many kids that were in the neighborhood that ended up there. And so I knew of the work long before I ever got into public service. But that's the kind of thing that, again, we uplift and support. It's unfortunate that young people are faced with those kinds of challenges and have to make those choices. But when they do, whatever the scenario that puts them in that situation happens, there's a safety net, and that's the Huckleberry House. So thank you for what you represent and what you do.
Thank you.
Well, as the youngest of 12 kids, about once a month, I thought about running away from home.
Right.
Packed my bags, was ready to do it, but,
Yep.
thankfully, I never followed through on it. But the work that you guys do is critical for our community, and we really appreciate all that you do for the kids of our community. So thank you for your continued work.
Thank you.
when you got 11 older brothers and sisters. There's a lot of reasons to think about it.
When we are serving between 10 and 15 young people a night, I'm not sure it would have felt very different at Huckleberry House than it did at your house.
I'm sure. Thank you. Thank you for everything, Sonia. All right, we have a resolution for you. We'd like to get a photo. Sorry, we have rows between two floors. All right. So we'll also be lighting up the courthouse in green, by the way, next week in recognition of Runaway Prevention Month. And so then we also, next on the agenda, we want to invite Susan Brown from our from our Child Support Enforcement Agency to the podium to say a few words. Now, I don't know if you knew, Susan, but there is a button there, so you can raise the podium now if you want. And talk about your amazing
Right.
team over at CSEA. There you go. But so then when Kimberly goes to speak, now you got to show her where there you go. Celebrating 45 years, incredible years of service to the residents of Franklin County.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Brown, Director, representing the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency. And thank you for taking a few minutes of time today to celebrate CSEA Deputy Director of Programming, Kim Collins, as she reaches an impressive milestone in her career. As of October 31st, 2023, Kim has served a remarkable 45 years in public service. Over these decades, Kim began her career as an intern, as secretary in 1978 for the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office. It was the Welfare, Fraud, and Juvenile Units. And this was before child support was by law consolidated into one agency under the Board of Commissioners. She earned her current position as deputy director by being promoted through the ranks, first as a legal secretary in 1979, then to an administrative supervisor and office manager in 1981, to a fiscal assistant in 1989, to a client information supervisor in 1988, to the establishment department manager in 2004, and finally the deputy director of programming in 2019. And I want to say about Kim and her perseverance, the road to her current position hasn't always been a smooth one. She navigated a lot through her career, including stereotypes, biases, inequities, and sometimes even hostile work environments. However, not once did her spirit falter or her perseverance wane. She's a fierce advocate, not only for herself, but for others, and she will succeed despite it all. Kim earned her associate's degree in secretarial science, her bachelor's in business administration and management, and her master's in business administration and organizational management. And her last two degrees were earned while managing one of our largest departments and raising 4 children. Beyond her educational and work experience, Kim is a coach, counselor, a loyal friend, a trusted colleague to me and to many at the agency. Kim has never been one to hold real estate at the county. In her role as manager and now deputy director, one of the things that stands out about Kim is that every time she's been challenged with a goal to reach, she has met or exceeded that goal. The proof is in the number of state awards that are on the wall within the establishment department. And one reason that Kim has stayed with the agency so long is that every time she meets a goal, the bar is raised again. We can do another lap. And she's challenged to meet her next goal. So, and she's so conscientious about her work and forward progress of the agency that she will stay until that goal is achieved. There is so much to say about Kim, but in the interest of time, I want to thank Kim for being one of the original pioneers of our program and for all of her creativity, her perseverance, her advocacy, and contributions towards making the Franklin County CSEA the national trendsetter that it is. Thank you, Kim.
Hey, before she starts, should we let her talk? and then-
You can talk.
We say, I just
You'll
want
be
to
the
say, I
floor.
mean, think about that. Don't be offended by what I'm about to say.
I'm sure I've heard it before.
Yeah. Sounds like it. But you've been working for the county almost as long as I've been alive. And I
I've
think of
heard that
myself as very
several
old.
times.
Quite frankly, I'm like, oh gosh, my knees hurt today. What's happening? But that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And I sit here astonished that over all the positions that you've had and all the things you've done in Franklin County. So I think what I'd like to suggest with Commissioner Grady, so you realize the hierarchy of the counties, the commissioners kind of oversee all things. And so we don't have to accept any kind of retirement. We don't have to accept any kind of, we can deny that of you and force you to stay with us.
You've been talking to her, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you have so much knowledge and so much information, and it would be so interesting to hear about what that journey has been like for you to see the evolution of not just the division you work in, but the county in general, because I'm absolutely certain you've seen a lot. And so, man, I'm really just floored by 45 years is a long time. I mean, how old is this building?
This building?
Yeah.
Well, it's older than that,
Is it?
1969.
Okay. Well, close. I mean, shoot, that's about right.
Yeah,
about same age as me.
the building we're in now was built in 1978.
The year you started. That would be the year you started, right? Anyway, I'm sorry. I just had to say that because I'm just amazed at that resume.
There were, as Director Brown was talking about all the things you've done, I'm thinking about all the things that I've done, and I'm thinking to myself, for 45 years, I haven't done anything for 45 years. I mean, other than like eat, sleep, and breathe, I haven't done anything for 45 years. That's just amazing. Good for you.
Well, thank you. I'm honored and I'm humbled and thankful for this recognition. For me to even say 45 years is surreal to me as well. I say I came from the cradle to the county. So, I mean, I have
Seems
people
that way.
yeah, so I have people that say that you don't even look 45 years old. And I say, well, here's my story. When my mom was in the hospital and delivering me, my dad was there. And when I came out, they had the job application. I stamped it with my foot. I thank you, and I'm just gracious and
You do
proud
look
to be
younger
here.
than Commissioner Brooks.
You do. I was thinking that. I promise you. I was thinking like, that's incredible. So did we give you like a Rolex or something? What did we give you for 45
No, I have
years?
it ready, so it's blank, so I'm ready for the Rolex.
Okay. So what do we give for 45 years?
These are taxpayer dollars, Commissioner.
They
Brooks.
are. But
In her work, Commissioner, so one of the things we always say with Ms. Kim, I'm sorry. One of the things we always say when we have Ms. Kim in meetings for our, and I'm not going to offend anyone, for our more younger workers coming in, I always make sure they spend time with her and listen to her, because as she sets the pace. I said, so whatever she says, say that. Whatever she does, do that. And they kind of hoover around, and they're like, what, 45 years? I'm like, yeah, so your little 3, do about 42 more laps. So we give her more work, but it has been an honor.
Thank you.
You know, your representation matters. You represent a lot of spaces, just for me. And I am thankful for you, and our HHS team is thankful for you.
Kim,
I'm sorry,
I gotta
just
get-
real-
I
just
gotta
real
get
quick.
in
Let me-
now.
let
I
me
gotta
be
get
clear,
in
too.
now.
Let me be clear. I'm not suggesting we buy a Rolex. I don't want to get letters in the mail saying that I suggested that. Thank you. I was joking, public. I was joking. I'm sorry. Mr.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because, Jed's sitting back there, he's been around longer than 50, or 45 years, so he's looking for,
He's got his. Yeah, he's got his. Oh, he said, I got my watch. I got my watch. Yeah.
45 years is just such a great accomplishment. Ms. Collins, your humility is one thing that I treasure the most about you. From the first day I met you, you had the same expression, the same amount of gratitude towards the process and towards the work you did each and every day. That's what I respect so much about you, that your expression is like firm, is solid. You could be under pressure or you could be happy. We just don't know. Your expression, it seemed like over the years that I've known you, it's always been the same. And you are an institution, 45 years. In this age where so many employees, have a microwave mindset, that they are not very patient, and they'll tell you that they're not going to stay around long if this promotion doesn't come by X amount of time. But you are a true public servant because you've shown perseverance, as Director Brown said. You've shown patience, and most of all, to do 45 years of service for the residents of Franklin County, you have to be a selfless individual, and you have to be a servant individual.
He's talking about humility, that's something you and I don't know much about.
So I just want to say, and I don't know how many Employee of the Year awards you got. You've got so many plaques. You probably just Employee of the Year. You probably like, when is this? What am I getting? What am I getting next? So you've been recognized as a champion, and I remember when you got your last promotion. I felt like it was so well deserved. Because it's you and you have a few other champions over there. I'm like amazed at how long you guys have been there through all of the changes, all of the different managers you've had, all of the different paper. You took me one day down into the file room, and I was like just amazed. I was like, wow, all of this paper. And it's like you knew where everything was at. It was like you knew where all the paper was at. And I'm like, where the computer? You knew where all the paper was at. But I'm gonna be quiet now. I just wanted to, as county administrator, say that I appreciate you, and don't go nowhere. Let's go on ahead and get that half century, and then we'll talk.
You've been talking to my husband, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have a resolution for you. This is your Rolex.
She's in control too. She was like, I give hugs. Yes, ma'am.
All right. We have an agenda now that we need to do. Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. One more ceremonial thing before we move on with the agenda. It's time to sing happy birthday to Brittany. It's, what are you, like 21 now? So Brittany's birthday is today. We brought in some, anybody wants a little donut before they go? We have donuts up here.
Please.
Brittany, our clerk, is 21 today. So
Finally legal. Finally, thank you so much.
we'll dispense with the singing just because I'm not singing in public. I always say that whenever anybody tries to get me to do karaoke, I always say that knowing all the words to any song is never a good reason for singing in public. So,
Thank you.
You don't
anyway,
have candles, close your eyes and make a wish.
we had a little birthday celebration at the house the other day, and they lit candles on the cake, and I said, you need to, blow it out this way because we don't blow on cakes anymore. And since COVID happened, nobody's gonna be blowing on a cake anymore. So anyway, we need the approval of the minutes of the August 22nd, 2023 general session, the September 18th, 2023 voting session, and the September 21st, 2023 briefing session.
So move.
Second,
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
All right, now to the Court of Common Pleas.
Resolution number 86823, resolution authorizing non-general fund appropriation adjustments for the Adult Probation Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance for the Common Pleas Court, and with me is Dan Wunderlich, Chief Probation Officer. This resolution approves the transfer and supplemental of appropriations for the non-general fund community correction grants provided to the Adult Probation Department from the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. Both the transfer and supplemental requests are necessary to allow each fund to address final year-end purchases and payments to complete the calendar year. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 868-23.
Second,
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
yes.
Resolution number 86823 has been adopted.
Thank you,
Thank
Kimberly.
you.
Domestic Relations.
Resolution number 86923, resolution authorizing a First Amendment with NetCare Corporation for various psychological services in the amount of $120,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Deputy Director Barb Reeves. This resolution is requesting an amendment to the two-year contract with NetCare Corporation to increase the contract from $90,000 to $120,000. The increase is due to an increase in the competency evaluations here at the court. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 869-23.
Second,
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
yes.
Resolution number 86923 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Barb. All right, the engineer, we have a handful of public hearings. So we have a public hearing on Resolution 87023. If you would, clerk, if you would please read the public hearing into the record.
Establishing, altering, and widening of Brown Road, Township Road number 142, at Dyer Road, Township Road number 260, Jackson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
So I'd like to open the public hearing for the resolution. Is there anyone here who would like to speak at this public hearing? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 87023, establishing, altering, and widening of Brown Road, Township Road number 142, at Dyer Road, Township Road number 260, Jackson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brad Foster, Chief Deputy Engineer of Operations, and thank you very much for the tip on the movable podium. Commissioners, our first resolution here, on October 17, 2023, the board adopted a resolution declaring necessary Brown Road at Dyer Road. And on November 7, 2023, the Board of Commissioners viewed the said improvement project. The resolution authorized the engineer to prepare plans as necessary for construction of the project and represents the second step in the legislative process. The engineer intends to assist Jackson Township with the roadway improvements at this intersection. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
You didn't know that podium moved?
I did not know.
All this
Thank you
time
very
you've been
much.
coming here, you didn't see those
Yep.
little buttons over there?
Thank you very much for that tip.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 870-23.
Second,
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
yes.
Resolution number 87023 has been adopted.
All right, so we now have a public hearing for Resolution 87123. If you please read the resolution into the record.
Establishing, altering, and widening of Johnstown Road, County Road number 377 at 17th Avenue, Township Road number 374, and I-670 East off-ramp, Mifflin Township, City of Columbus, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
All right, I'd like to open the public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone here who would like to speak at the public hearing? All right, seeing none, I'd like to have, close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 87123, establishing, altering, and widening of Johnstown Road, County Road number 377 at 17th Avenue, Township Road number 374, and I-670 East off-ramp, Mifflin Township, City of Columbus, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
All right. We have a public hearing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Me next, thank you. Commissioners, on October 17, 2023, the board adopted a resolution declaring necessary Johnstown Road at 17th Avenue and the I-670 eastbound off-ramp. And on November 7, 2023, the Board of Commissioners viewed the said improvement project. The resolution authorizes the engineer to prepare plans as necessary for the construction of this project and represents the second step in the legislative process. Franklin County Engineer has recently awarded over $2 million in Ohio Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program safety funding for the construction of a modern roundabout at this intersection. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 871-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 87123 has been adopted.
All right, we now have a public hearing for Resolution 87223. Can the clerk please read the public hearing?
Prayer of petition to vacate an unnamed alley located in the Rome Manor subdivision, Prairie Township, Franklin County, Ohio, granted.
All right, I'd like to open the public hearing for the resolution. If there's anyone, is there anyone here who'd like to speak at the public hearing? All right, seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 87223, prayer of petition to vacate an unnamed alley located in the Rome Manor subdivision, Prairie Township, Franklin County, Ohio, granted.
Commissioners, our next resolution, the Prairie Township Board of Trustees has filed a petition to vacate an unnamed alley located in the Rome Manor subdivision. No objections to vacate were filed. This resolution confirms that the proposed vacation has been viewed. This is the final resolution in the vacation process and recommends approval of this vacation. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 872-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 87223 has been adopted. Resolution number 87323, resolution approving a contract modification with Shelley and Sands Incorporated for the 2022 Franklin County Township Resurfacing Program, an increase of $220,544.88 for a revised contract amount of $3,769,855.23.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks to authorize the contract modifications with Shelley and Sands Construction Company for the 2022 Franklin County Township Resurfacing Program. An increase of $220,544.88 for a revised contract amount of $3,769,855.23. During construction, it was determined that additional performance items were necessary to complete this project. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 873-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 87323 has been adopted. Resolution number 87423, GPD Group Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer by providing detailed engineering services for the Dublin Road Shared Use Path Project, Norwich Township, Washington Township, City of Columbus, City of Hilliard, City of Dublin, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $1,901,898.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks approval of a contract with GPD Group Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer by providing detailed engineering services for the Dublin Road Shared Use Path Improvement Project. GPD Group is a local engineering firm and was chosen via engineering qualifications based selection process. This is a collaborative project between Franklin County, the City of Columbus, the City of Dublin, the City of Hilliard. The project seeks to construct a shared use path from Quarry Trails Metro Park to Limestone Ridge Drive and is funded by MORPSI attributable funding. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 874-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 874-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 875-23, preliminary allocation and final encumbrance of county motor vehicle license fee, $5 funds for the City of Columbus in the amount of $1 million.
The City of Columbus has requested the use of a portion of the permissive fee funds to install new and upgrade existing signage and pavement markings along various roadways within the city boundaries. The county engineer has viewed the proposed use of the funds and has determined that they meet the allowable use of the funds. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 875-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 875-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 876-23, preliminary allocation and final encumbrance of county vehicle license fee, $5 funds for the City of Columbus in the amount of $2 million.
The next resolution, the City of Columbus has requested the use of a portion of their permissive fee funds to upgrade traffic signals at a variety of intersections within the city boundaries. The county engineer has viewed the proposed use of the funds and has determined that they meet the allowable use of the funds. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 876-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 876-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 877-23, resolution authorizing the Franklin County engineer to enter into agreements with farmers to leave corn stalks in the ground as snow fence barriers in the amount of $20,000.
Our next resolution authorizes the corn stalks for snow fence program. This will be the 24th year that we propose to utilize this program. With this program, the county engineer partners with local farmers to minimize snow drifting on county roadways by utilizing corn stalks as a natural snow fence. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 877-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 877-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 878-23, resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on Havens Corners Road, County Road number 16, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, our final resolution seeks authorization to request the Ohio Department of Transportation to investigate the speed limit on Havens Corners Road from Wagner to Dixon Road. ODOT will review Franklin County's study and determine a safe speed limit. The county engineer received a request for the speed study on this road from the township. The study was conducted by Franklin County and was determined that the speed limit reduction from 55 to 45 would be appropriate. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 878-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 878-23 has been adopted.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to mention too, our annual township dinner is on Thursday evening, November 16th from 5 to 7:30 at Villa Milano, if you guys are interested in attending. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Prosecuting attorney.
Resolution number 879-23, resolution authorizing the settlement of a disputed legal claim arising from the provision of professional evaluations and mental health assessments to the Franklin County Office on Aging and authorizing the county administrator to execute documents necessary to effectuate the settlement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robin Moorhead, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney on behalf of the Franklin County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. This resolution would approve a settlement agreement and release with NetCare for professional evaluations and mental health assessments performed by NetCare for the Franklin County Office on Aging from 2018 through 2022. In exchange for the payment of $62,500, NetCare will release the county from any and all liability for all evaluations performed during that time period. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 879-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 879-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, the treasurer.
Resolution number 880-23. Resolution authorizing a contract with Mapsys Incorporated to provide requested support and maintenance to Franklin County Treasurer System in the amount of $110,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jacqueline Treadwell, Budget and Purchasing Coordinator for the Franklin County Treasurer. The Franklin County Treasurer's Office is seeking a resolution authorizing a contract with Mapsys Incorporated to provide support and maintenance to the Franklin County Treasurer System, fax, in amount not to exceed $110,000 for the duration of 6 months. Mapsys Incorporated is a Franklin County headquartered and state term scheduled vendor. The Franklin County Treasurer's Office manages the main operation of the agency with fax and ensures advancing technology is properly planned for, managed, and utilized for the benefit of the county by continuing to maintain the functionality of fax. Barring any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 880-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 880-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Animal control.
Resolution number 881-23. Resolution authorizing a 5-year contract between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and Franklin County Public Health for a rabies control program in the amount of $10,440.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Lionel Hamilton, Fiscal Officer for Animal Care and Control. This resolution seeks approval authorizing a contract with Franklin County Public Health to continue the rabies control program here at Animal Care and Control. The previous contract with Franklin County Public Health was approved under Resolution 076817. This partnership has proven to be beneficial to our agency and the citizens of Franklin County. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 881-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 881-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Child support enforcement.
Resolution number 882-23. Resolution authorizing a consultant contract with Herzog and Associates LLC for information technology services in the amount of $18,700.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Susan Brown, representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. This resolution requests your consideration in approving a contract with John Herzog and Associates LLC beginning November 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2024 in an amount not to exceed $18,700. This contract follows federal guidelines for professional software consulting services and is eligible for federal financial reimbursement. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse, the purpose of the contract is to reimburse Herzog and Associates for professional IT and consulting services to further develop and expand current technology and optimize use of county-created proprietary software. The awarding of this contract ensures that the agency's existing document and business process databases are maintained and function in conjunction with new systems, and that they have the ability to exchange and share data as needed. Each unit of service for this contract is defined as an hour or portion of an hour it takes to perform the services as outlined. Herzog is the original designer of most of the agency's databases and has been providing services to Franklin County CSEA since approximately 2004. He has contributed to automating manual processes, assisting in data transition to the on-base business process management system, improved customer service, and performance success. The child support program is, in its totality, is focused on the Rise Together Blueprint goal, number 12, increasing the number of children in safe and stable homes and environments, and goal number 13, strengthening partnerships with parents to increase support for young people. While this contract is focused on behind-the-scenes work versus direct family services, the added efficiencies to business processes allow staff the ability to focus their time on our residents instead of completing manual operations. Pending any questions, I request this resolution be approved.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 882-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 882-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 88323, resolution authorizing Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency to enter into a contract with the Ronald Group LLC for the provision of professional services related to the implementation of the Charting a Course for Economic Mobility and Responsible Parenting Cohort 2 grant project in the form of professional coaching services in the amount of $2,548.
Thank you. This resolution requests your consideration in approving a contract with the Ronald Group beginning October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, in an amount not to exceed $2,548. As you may recall, the agency was awarded a federally funded research grant entitled Charting a Course for Economic Mobility and Responsible Parenting, originally approved under Resolution 0397-22. This grant is aimed at child support prevention and uses peer educators to help teens and young adults gain the knowledge, skills, and access to resources likely to lead to success in their pursuit of their life goals, career, economic mobility, and responsible parenting. Part of the grant design requires each grantee to provide career coaching to the peer educators. This contract with the Ronald Group will meet that grant requirement and provide weekly 2-hour coaching sessions to the peer educators for up to 12 weeks. The sessions will focus on building their confidence and perfecting their presentation skills for delivering the No Kidding Ohio curriculum. It will also prepare them for their next opportunity for advancement in their career. This contract with the Ronald Group addresses the Rise Together Blueprint goal of improving and increasing the delivery of supportive services for individuals to access employment. Goal number 8, improving maternal and child health among high disparity groups struggling financially. And goal number 11, increasing the number of students at or near poverty level experiencing academic success. As a community partner, the Ronald Group will provide the skills needed for our peer educators to effectively deliver the curriculum, which in turn will have a positive impact on our residents. Pending any questions, I request this resolution be approved.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 883-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 88323 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 88423, resolution to accept cooperative agreements from county jurisdictions reaffirming their participation in the county's Housing and Urban Development Entitlement Program as set forth in resolution number 19318.
Good morning, Assistant Director Carolyn Thurman for Economic Development and Planning. Every 3 years, the county, as a U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development entitlement grantee, is required to certify itself in order to continue to receive HUD program funding. A recertification entails having every city, village, and township within the county sign a cooperative agreement with the Board of Commissioners and to pass a resolution stating their willingness to participate in the county's HUD entitlement process and to abide by all federal HUD regulations. Further, this process serves as an extension of the contract the county has with HUD. 40 communities in Franklin County have agreed to participate in the next 3 years of the cycle, 2024, 2025, and 2026. And this resolution completes the process of affirming those jurisdictions' continued participation in the county's HUD programs, extending from the last 3-year cycle to this next 3-year cycle. Pending any questions, we respectfully request approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of, I do have a question, I'm sorry. Let me back up. I know we've had a number of discussions about HUD's, a variety of HUD requirements and our ability to meet those requirements. Where do we stand with HUD as is today? And I know, I mean, let's just be frank. We have not been at our best when it comes to HUD and those standards, and I know we want to get there, and we're trying to work to that. DCA Bivens has been, I think, very forthcoming about the effort to try to make sure we meet that standard. But where do we stand in the big scheme? And DCA Bivens, you may want to comment on this too, because we haven't had a chance to kind of link back up since our last discussions.
If I could just really quick, Carolyn, I'm going to ask Director Pride if she will come forward. Director Pride, everyone, she is our new interim economic development director. So she has taken this on by the head, and I know our county administrator, if you want to jump in before. Commissioner Boyce, Director Pride sat with the leadership team of the Economic Development Department just yesterday, and went through the catalog of things that are required and needed in order to be in compliance. I will tell you that this team is working diligently in order to meet deadlines. I know that there is some resubmission of some documents that need to be sent back to HUD, I believe today or tomorrow. If we could provide you with a list of those things, hopefully by close of the week. I'm not going to do close of business, Carolyn, because you look like you're about to have a heart attack if I say close of business. If we can give you that document, Commissioner Boyce, by the end of the week, another county administrator may have some information they want to share.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. As a Deputy Administrator, Joy Bivens indicated, yesterday morning, we had an all-staff meeting. We brought the entire EDP team over to our briefing room and introduced formally Director Pride as the interim director, and had conversations around our expectations to become in compliance with all of the things that HUD is requesting, and then rise to a level higher than that. We talked about the work that needs to be done, talked extensively about applying the resources to get that work done. Additionally, this past Friday of last week, there was a kickoff meeting with the consultant that is working with us to do a review of what we have as far as our operating procedures around complying with the Community Development Block Grant Program and home programs and the other programs under HUD. You all approved that agreement that allows us to do that. They're gonna give us deliverables. They're gonna also advise us as to whether we need to bring in staff augmentation at the next phase. Additionally, I decided yesterday that I want to bring another accounting firm on to look at our internal procedures as it relates to the collection of revenues for our billing department, for example, on zoning, and looking at that work as well. So I've spoke with the prosecuting attorney's office just this morning about working with our purchase department and our Office of Management and Budget. Director Talaric has also been highly engaged and will continue to be highly engaged, more so than under any normal circumstances. Rest assured, Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Boyce, we are going to put an all-hands-on-deck approach to working on all these issues across the board.
Great. I really appreciate that, Administrator Wilson, DCA Bivens, for the update, and certainly to Director Pride. I think this is a very good first task to unravel. The relationship with HUD is important to Franklin County because the people that the resources from HUD serve, I know I don't have to explain this to you. I know you know this well, but to the listening public, the resources that come from HUD to Franklin County are utilized as a resource for those who are in most need. And that is a value set of this Franklin County Board of Commissioners. And so, DCA Bivens, I would ask, as that update comes complete, that you update all the commissioners. And then if I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but I'd like to be briefed on it as late as early next week. My staff can also be briefed, and they can brief me, so it doesn't have to be me. But it's important that we stay on top of this relationship and this discussion. Keep in mind that the HUD secretary is from Ohio. She's from Cleveland. And we have relationships there that we want to keep intact and, more importantly, invest in. So this is an opportunity for us to grow that relationship, and I don't think we've met the greatest standard in that. And so if you could, I'd love an update from my office to be updated later.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No, not
Thank you, Commissioner Boyce and Commissioner O'Grady. As stated, the things that needed to be submitted to kind of move forward with the corrective action that is necessary for us to raise to the standard was submitted to HUD yesterday. We are going to have that continuous follow-up and those meetings to make sure that those standards are continued to be clear, but also met and exceeded. So we will be prepared to brief going forward, and we will make sure that as we go ahead as an agency, that we do all we can to make sure that we rise above where we are.
Outstanding. And I do want to just say publicly, it gives me a lot of confidence to see you in this role. So I really appreciate what you're going to do. And I know Commissioner Cross will acknowledge she's been on top of this HUD relationship for a very long time, and so I don't want to distract from her diligence as a commissioner too. She's been on top of this, so I think it'd be great if we could all be updated as soon as possible for this. Thank you. We can't hear you, DCA Bippen, sorry. Your mic's off there. I don't know.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
Okay.
can I just add one minor comment to the resolution that's before you? But this resolution is really an example of a step forward of looking at something that needed to be rectified, taking the appropriate legislative action to rectify. And you will see that in Section 1 of the resolution that you are basically ratifying actions so that there is a clear mapping of all actions taken. And this is what agencies like HUD look for when they are reviewing your actions.
Thank you for that, and you just made me think of something. So a couple things. One, I want to encourage you to update, communicate, and engage with our congressional delegation, particularly Congresswoman Beatty, who's been very much an advocate of Franklin County, but also Congressman Carey and Congressman Balderson, both I know want to be helpful to Franklin County and represents portions of Franklin County. And so I would ask that you do some outreach to their government affairs people or their district offices to just let them know, hey, make sure they're up on the relationship and some of the challenges that we've had, but that we're meeting them. I think that would be a valuable use of your time.
Absolutely, and we will do that. Thank you, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry. You told me. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 884-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 884-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 885-23. Resolution responding to the October 25th, 2023 notice received concerning the proposed creation of a tax increment financing incentive district in the city of Whitehall.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff and everyone in attendance today. Emmanuel Torres, Assistant Director of Economic Development and Planning. The City of Whitehall seeks to create a tax increment financing district called the Fairway Boulevard TIF Incentive District to support the construction of a new residential development project in the city, consisting of approximately 34 new single-family homes. The proposed TIF under Section 5709.40C of the Ohio Revised Code would capture and redirect taxes from the incremental increase in value of parcels in the district to fund public improvements within and adjoining the district. On October 25th, 2023, the City of Whitehall submitted formal notice to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. This is pursuant to Section 5709.40E1 of the Ohio Revised Code, making the county aware that the proposed TIF would be created for a term of 30 years, and the percentage of the improvements exempted from taxation would be 100%. Pursuant to Section 5709.40E2 of the Ohio Revised Code, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners may object to TIF incentive districts proposed for more than 10 years, or where the percentage of exemption from taxation would exceed 75%. The Board of Commissioners recognizes that TIF districts may place a strain on various social service levy agencies in Franklin County as revenue is redirected. And therefore, this resolution, through this resolution, the County Board of Commissioners would accomplish the following. the board would formally object to the exemption for the number of years in excess of 10 for the proposed City of Whitehall Fairway Boulevard Tax Increment Finance Incentive District as set forth in the notice submitted to the board on October 25th, 2023, until such time as the board has negotiated a mutually acceptable compensation agreement with the City of Whitehall, or the City of Whitehall proceeds to create by resolution the TIF district where the county is compensated by a default rate as set in section 5709.40E2 of the Ohio Revised Code. Secondly, this resolution directs its staff, or this board would, through this resolution, direct its staff to work with the City of Whitehall to seek, negotiate, and finalize a compensation agreement for the proposed TIF district. Once such an agreement has been finalized, the board would acknowledge that the City of Whitehall may proceed to adopt legislation to create the TIF district at any time. If the City of Whitehall proceeds to create the TIF district without reaching a compensation agreement with the county will be compensated by a default rate as set again in section 5709.40E2 of the Ohio Revised Code. Finally, this resolution instructs the clerk to certify a copy of this resolution to the City Council of the City of Whitehall within 30 days of the notice from the City of Whitehall and to record said resolution in the appropriate record book. Pending any questions, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 885-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 885-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 897-23, resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement with the State Historic Preservation Office, invited signatories, the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and the community builders, and the concurring parties, the Ohio History Connection, the City of Bexley, the Columbus Landmarks Foundation, and O.R. Woodyard Company Funeral and Cremation Services to mitigate adverse effects on historic properties in compliance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, 54 U.S.C. 306-108.
Assistant Director Carolyn Thurman. Franklin County is an entitlement grantee with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and receives an annual allocation of funding through the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, and Emergency Solution Grant programs. As such, Franklin County meets the definition of responsible entity as defined in the regulations at 24 CFR Part 58, which includes assuming the responsibilities of the responsible entity for public housing authorities, nonprofit organizations, and other entities who do not meet the criteria for a responsible entity and who have been awarded funding from HUD for projects located within Franklin County but outside of the boundaries of a municipal area that would serve as the responsible entity. The community builders have applied for and received funding from the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority to support the planned Bexley Apartments at Livingston project. The county has determined that the undertaking will have an adverse effect on the subject property, which has been determined by the keeper as eligible for individual listing in the National Register of Historic Places under Criterion C for architecture as representative of a local example of a suburban, purpose-built, professional type building type. The county seeks to mitigate these adverse effects with the actions outlined in the memorandum of agreement between the county and the State Historic Preservation Office. Pending any questions, we respectfully request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 897-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 897-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 886-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Miriam E. Casto at 189 Lawrence Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43228.
Miriam E. Casto received a housing assistance grant on April 11, 2006 from the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $15,000. The above housing loan was repaid or the terms have expired. The taxes are paid in current and require authorization to release and record.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 886-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 886-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 887-23, Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Braxton Herrick and April Herrick at 1096 North Hague Avenue, Township of Franklin, Ohio, 43204.
Braxton Herrick and April Herrick received a housing assistance grant on January 2nd, 2021 from the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $9,911.92. The above housing loan was repaid or the terms have expired. The taxes are paid in current and require authorization to release and record.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 887-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 887-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 888-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Jeffrey E. Jenkins at 1228 Tedco Drive, Township of Franklin, Ohio, 43223.
Jeffrey Jenkins received a housing assistance grant on August 31st, 2017 from the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $7,363.40. The above housing loan was repaid or the terms have expired. The taxes are paid in current and require authorization to release and record.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 888-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 888-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 889-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Russell Price at 6624 Darby Boulevard, Pleasant Township, Ohio, 43123.
Last one. Russell Price received a housing assistance grant on February 5th, 2009 from the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $4,510. The above housing loan was repaid or the terms have expired. The taxes are paid in current and require authorization to release and record.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 889-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 889-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 890-23, resolution approving a subboard agreement with the Godman Guild Association for the management of work activities as required by the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Employment and Training Program in the amount of $900,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator for Job and Family Services. In Ohio, able-bodied adults without dependents, or what we consider ABODs, must comply with monthly federal work requirements for the SNAP Employment and Training Program in order to receive food assistance benefits. Over the past 9 years, our agency has contracted with the Ohio Association of Food Banks to coordinate and manage allowable work activities under the SNAP E&T Work Experience Program. In the spring of 2023, as they were undergoing a change in leadership, OAF informed us that they no longer would be able to continue the management of the program. To ensure the continuity of services, OAF partnered with the Godman Guild Association to oversee the program. In July, they assumed full guidance of the day-to-day operations with the support of the Ohio Association of Food Banks. Beginning with this new contract cycle, Godman Guild will operate the program independently, including managing work activity assignments and reporting compliance details. Godman Guild will serve an estimated 1,500 work-required SNAP recipients referred by our agency under what they are calling their Project Connect program. Services will include individualized career assessments, job readiness skills training, resources to address employment barriers, opportunities for occupational skills training, and placement at community work experience sites. We are fortunate to have the Executive Director of the Godman Guild Association, Tony Cunningham, with us this morning, should you have any questions.
If there are no comments or questions.
Really quick, Commissioner, I just wanted to, Joy Bivens, I wanted to just really make a quick comment about this program. This is a huge bolster in our, OAF did a phenomenal job. I think Madam President, CEO, Tony Cunningham, you all rebranded this, and our residents are going to receive so many just wonderful services. They're going to put them on a path of economic mobility, just by way of reimagining and re-envisioning what we could do with our able-bodied adults who receive SNAP benefits. I don't know if all of you understand, many times you receive a SNAP benefit and you have a child, you have to be working or in school. I know a lot of people think, well, you can just sit at home. That's not the case. Tony and her organization are going to work with our residents in order to skill them up and look at what their skills are so that they can be successful. And as Commissioner Crowley would say, they are thriving and not just surviving.
Outstanding. If there are no comments or questions, I see Tony's here today. How are you? Good. Look forward to working with you as always. So great job. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 890-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 890-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 891-23, resolution authorizing a contract agreement with Moody Nolan to provide professional services associated with developing a space plan for the Franklin County Forensic Science Center in the amount of $14,750.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director. This resolution provides for the approval of a contract agreement with Moody Nolan for professional services for the Franklin County Forensic Science Center located at 2090 Frank Road. Specifically, Moody Nolan will conduct a space study to confirm and refine space allocations at the Forensic Science Center since a new coroner and team has taken office, and in conjunction with an operations review and study of the coroner's office that has occurred since the facility's completion in May of 2020. The contract shall not exceed $14,750, and the professional services shall be completed on or before February 16th of 2024. Pending any questions, this agency requests your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. The only thing I'll say, President O'Grady, the only thing I'll say is that I'd love to see the results of that study. I know that's very specific to the coroner and the Forensic Science Center and to what they do, but it'd be, I think, great to keep the commissioners sort of up on what the results are when it comes back. I think it's a good move for him. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 891-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 891-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 892-23, resolution authorizing contract extension number 1 and modification number 1 with R&S Haley and Company Incorporated, doing business as Darby Creek Nursery and Landscaping, to provide snow removal services at designated Franklin County facilities in the amount of $500,000.
Public Facilities Management is responsible for the facility needs of the various agencies and offices of Franklin County. Resolution 898-22 authorized a contract with R&S Haley and Company, Inc., doing business as Darby Creek Nursery and Landscaping, for the provision of snow removal services at designated Franklin County facilities. This resolution authorizes a contract extension for one additional one-year period that shall be in effect from November 29th of 2023 through November 28th of 2024, and this is a not-to-exceed contract. Pending any questions, PFM respectfully requests your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 892-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 892-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Darla. Darla must be an incredibly busy woman. Oh, she's gone. I'll forget it. Oh, there she is.
I'm back.
I said, you must be really busy. You got the shortest commute of everybody, but we have to see you on video. She's got to walk down
Please
the
to
hall.
join in person anytime.
I'm just teasing you, Darla. I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you.
She's looking for more real estate for all of us.
It's good to see you, Darla. All right.
Nice to see
The
you all, too.
purchasing department.
Resolution number 893-23, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $6,095,254.37.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balinier, Director of Purchasing. Joining me is Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This resolution requests your approval of 111 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Tamika has prepared the supplier diversity data to share with you today. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning. 10 of the purchase orders being presented today are being awarded to small emerging businesses totaling $99,468. 2% is being awarded to minority-owned businesses, another 2% to small businesses, and 5% going to women-owned businesses. Once these are approved, 5 agencies have provided equitable and inclusive opportunities to small businesses this week. These agencies include the Court of Common Pleas, Fleet, Job and Family Services, Public Facility Management, and the Sheriff's Office. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 893-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 893-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Tamika. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. The Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 894-23. Resolution authorizing the sale of real property owned by the Board of Commissioners and commonly known as 909 Taylor Station Road, Gahanna, Ohio, to the H.T. Hackney Company, authorizing and approving a real estate purchase contract for the sale of the property, and authorizing the county administrator to take additional actions necessary to effectuate the sale and transfer of the property in the amount of $2,200,000.
Morning, Commissioners. Jed Morrison with the Board of Developmental Disabilities. This resolution will authorize the sale of a building at 909 Taylor Station Road in Gahanna. This was a sheltered workshop operated by ARC Industries. It's been that way since 1982. However, it's no longer needed due to increased emphasis on community employment and also community-based services. And ARC Industries has acquired additional space as well, so we recommend your approval.
Thank you, Jeb. I do want to say, you're here, congratulations on your many years of service, which is
54.
54, and so I'm 52, so that means you were doing this before I was born, 2 years before I was born. But I have to say, you really, since I've been a part of Franklin County, I mean, you definitely set the standard. I mean, you have been a great leader and a great administrator in every sense of the word, and I've learned from you. I've enjoyed working with you, and I really just think that you are the consummate leader of an agency like what you're currently representing. And I hope that whatever comes next for you, which I'm sure is great and big things, that it's here in Central Ohio, because there are so many, you have so many talents and so many skills that it would be a true loss for Central Ohio if you were to take off somewhere else or go do something else. So I hope that we'll still have you in some way, shape, or form, because if you don't know, this man's retiring, and I mean, 54 years, that there needs to be like a record of like the longest serving, because I'm pretty sure that's probably up there, the longest serving person in the history of Franklin County. I wonder what that is. I wonder, you know, what the qualifications of that. We got some folks who've been around a little while, but anyways, I just wanted to say that publicly, because I really do think you set the standard. You are the gold seal of what we should have leading us at various agencies and doing big and great things in Central Ohio. So you'll definitely be missed in that agency and Central Ohio. So.
Well, I really very much appreciate that. I have told many folks, peers throughout the state, that we are very lucky to live here in Franklin County, and your comments on the wall there, every resident, every day, is very true. And your support of folks who have developmental disabilities has been very, very important, particularly during the pandemic, but really on an ongoing basis. So I very much appreciate that.
I will add to Commissioner President O'Grady. I have two relatives that have been through your program one way or another, and it is life-changing for them. It is absolutely life-changing for them. My one nephew still is engaged, and I don't know how his life would be without that system and resource, quite frankly, and I don't know how it would affect our family in the broader sense. I know it would be much different, and I would say lesser degree of quality of life for that particular individual. So really, what you all do is amazing work. It's kind of low-key unless you're involved with it as a family member or with the county, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge, and they're doing great work in the big sense of things, too. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. And thanks also to your staff. Your staff have been awesome in many respects.
So I went to, a few weeks back, I went to the celebration of Jed's career and basically Jed's life, because his career has been his life for the last 54 years. And so I got to experience some pretty amazing photographs of Jed over the years. I got to see Jed in full regalia with all the facial hair that he had over the years, the hairstyles.
One day, yeah.
The hairstyles that he had over the years. Jed had long hair.
I'm so sorry I
Jed
missed
had,
that.
Jed had some pretty serious sideburns and some pretty. Got to see him in the tuxedo that he wore at his wedding. Got to see, I got to see a lot of.
Back in the 70s,
Got
right?
to see a lot of
60s.
Jed
Yeah.
Morrison that I wasn't prepared for. That was pretty unique. But I also got to hear a lot of tales from a lot of staff members and a lot of colleagues over the years for the work that Jed has done on behalf of the residents of Franklin County, both in the developmental world and just staff members and colleagues and folks, not just in Franklin County, but throughout the state, peers and folks. Just what a great evening that was, and what a great celebration of a great career. So congratulations to you again. I was only able to stay for about, 3/4 of the evening because I had to leave to go pick up my wife from the airport, because I know I'm a dumb individual, but I'm not that dumb. So being late to pick up my wife at the airport was not on the agenda for the evening.
Right.
So, but it was a great evening, and so I appreciate being able to be there that night. And I had a great evening because I was also able to sit and enjoy the night with great people at my table, and especially Senator Craig, who I always have a good time with. So
Thank you very
it was
much.
a great night. So.
Well, I'm sorry I missed. I was traveling, and I'm very sorry. I believe I was traveling
Understand.
that day, yeah. And I missed it. I was so bummed when I did, and so hopefully I get a chance to spend a little bit of time with you before you actually take off. So
Great.
some of my staff's here, so hopefully we can get a cup of coffee or something and celebrate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be here with Ms. Collins, who has straight time with the county. I worked with the county, and then I left for a little bit with the state, so you got the record over there.
Yeah. Look,
Honored
she
to
knew
be here
that.
with you.
She knew that. Yeah, she knew that. Well, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 894-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 894-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 895-23, resolution authorizing the sale of real property owned by the Board of Commissioners and commonly known as 4395 Marketing Place, Groveport, Ohio, to acquire Gen 3 LLC, authorizing and approving a real estate purchase contract for the sale of the property, and authorizing the county administrator to take additional actions necessary to effectuate the sale and transfer of the property in the amount of $1,750,000.
Yes, and Commissioners, this is similar to the previous resolution. We have used this building since 1992 as a sheltered workshop. Currently, Goodwill Columbus is using the building for services for adults who have developmental disabilities, but Goodwill will plan to use alternative space, and we thank the prosecutor's office and your staff for assisting Dot Yeager with the process here of this sale.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 895-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 895-23 has been adopted. Resolution number.
This is a Timex.
Are you sure? You said Rolex.
We're gonna
when
work
you-
on
yeah,
that.
Yeah. It does have me thinking, though, about when people meet such a huge milestone, what we do for them and how we honor them. And obviously, we wouldn't spend the public's money on things of that nature, but there's got to be a better way to memorialize that level of service in a way that is appropriate for those folks. So let's talk about it. Let's, maybe there's something that we can do because that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Resolution number 89623, resolution authorizing a transfer of funds for the payment of debt service.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Telerik with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution would authorize transfers of $8.5 million to the various bond retirement funds, including $8 million from the general fund for the county's December 1st debt service payment. The resolution also authorizes the upcoming payment in the amount of $15 million. In addition to the amounts transferred, $4.9 million is held by the trustee for the Series 2018 sales tax backed bonds, and various entities also make rental payments into the various debt service funds directly, including payment from the Columbus Clippers and Franklin County Children's Services. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 896-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 89623 has been adopted.
Madam Clerk, are there any journalizations today?
There are not.
All right, well, that concludes our agenda for today. We will see everyone next week.
Right.
Thank you.